Go ahead and encourage everybody at some point before we get too far into it. Check in, connect on Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. At this time, we'll go ahead and call Danny Leonard up to lead us in our prayer.
We'll probably say more about it a little bit later, but just some needs, folks with needs that are part of our number that we know of. Rick Phillips, Roger Bryant, and certainly Milton Riley. And there may be others, and we'll have an opportunity later. But let us pray here. Father God, thank you for another day of life. It is a gift you have given to us. Even the breath that sustains our lives is a gift from you. We thank you and we pray that we will live our lives in such a way that our gratitude for the many blessings that you have given us will be so apparent to all that encounter us. Thank you for this opportunity to be in this place among friends or making new friends. Thank you for this organization that helps us to be better people. Thank you for those who have gone before us and those who serve with us even now. For this food that's been prepared for us, we thank you for that. May it nourish our bodies, but more importantly, may you nourish our souls. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Yeah. Danny's going to grow into a preacher. You'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we got another special guest. Tony Hyde is going to come and lead us. Get her there.
Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina in the morning. No one could be sweeter than my sweetie when I meet her in the morning. When the morning glories wind around the door, whispering pretty stories I long to hear once more. Strolling with my girlie when the dew is fairly early in the morning. Butterflies will flutter up and kiss each little buttercup and dawning. If I had a land that's left for only a day, I'd make a wish and here's what I say. Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina in the
Every time I see that song come up, I think about the old commercials where it was for the North Carolina State Fair to that jingle. Everybody remember those commercials? Heather's nodding her head. I remember those. Those are cool. All right, Sergeant at Arms Joseph, we have visiting Rotarians. Is the best words I've heard in a long time. Not about no visiting or immediate past present. We got on with us here, before we get to guests here, we've got Makiba Gray, Roger Bryant, and Wayne Underwood. And Hope was on at some point. I don't know if she hopped off or what, but say hello to all of them. All right. Visitors with Rotary. Unofficially. All right. Danny, there you go.
Josh Proctor is with us again. Davidson County Hospice, Davidson County.
Appreciate it. Good to see you. All right. Announcements. A couple things I'll draw your attention to. No meeting next week. 4th of July holiday, even though it's just the 2nd, but enjoy some time off. And then July 9th is called Assembly. Jason will have something for that. I know there was, looked like a fun time, a great turnout out at the Finch House Music Series. Here's the dates, those are in the bulletin as well. Make sure you get out, support that event, and money goes to great causes throughout the city. Coffee Connections tomorrow at Colonial at 8:30. And then a new one got added here, if you're not aware, Hope and Style for Baptist Children's Home. That's going to be August 23rd at Greensboro Country Club. So super cool event. Rotary usually has some involvement with helping out some funding for that. So get your tickets for that and go support Hope and Style. The Retro Remix. Hunter, do you want to say anything about this?
Sure, I mean, I put a couple flyers around on the tables. This will be July 19th. We're just looking for ways to have new fundraisers that not necessarily the same thing every year. We decided to try the summer concert out. It's going to be at Pace Park. Tickets are $15. If you're interested in being a sponsor, come talk to me. We're looking for those too.
Cool. Thanks, Hunter. All right, installation banquet is tomorrow, so if you want tickets to that, go ahead and see Kim. It'll be at the barn at Tanglewood. It'll be nice and hot, so you can dress in a full suit if you'd like. Everybody's night and everybody's day. Not too early to think about those. And Keith, I know you got some stuff on the tables.
Yeah, I put a little packet on the tables. I know everybody asked for money, and we are too. We lost our main sponsor, not our main sponsor, our main stage sponsor this year. So we're looking to pick up some sponsorships we can. The last page will tell you a few things about what we're looking for. We've got the main stage. We got Tommy's dance party there, Tommy Rock there, the stage, and then we go all the way down to a $150 sponsorship. Anything over a $350 or more, you get a free vendor booth at Everybody's Day. So if you're willing, if you want to, look at this, and we appreciate any help for Everybody's Day with you. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you, Keith. And when you said Tommy's dance party, Tommy Ballard turned around like, I've got a dance party? I was like, all right.
Tommy Rock.
This will be a really fun Everybody's Day. Cameron, anything about Everybody's Night that you want to share at this point?
Sure. Same thing. If anybody's interested in any kind of sponsorships, but we're going to have Braden Hall back again this year. He is a Nashville signed artist, so it's a really cool night. Country music. We're going to have our very own Jason Tuttle, Delta Sun, opening up, and our DJ Weapon X will be keeping it flowing throughout the night. So completely free event. Come out, bring some chairs. In September, we're hoping to cool off a little bit, right?
Oh, awesome. All right, golf tournament coming up October 3rd, and shortly thereafter, chili cookout. All right, so go ahead, get your teams together, be ready to take on Wayne and his crew. All right, well, I don't know why I'm saying that. I'm the one who's hard for the chili cookout this year, so I better get mine together. All right. You've got some flyers on your tables as well for sneaker ball and I saw Adam. Where'd Adam go? Okay. All right. So sneaker ball coming up for Sisters of Hope. But it's gonna be a really cool event. Take a look at it, scan the QR code, and next time Adam's here, he can share some more information about it. But that is, oh, that's tomorrow. So Adam will not share more information about it next time. But it's tomorrow. Yeah, it's tomorrow. Another announcement, and Danny mentioned a few of them, but if you'll add to your prayers, a lot of you know Dr. Tom Burns. He passed away. His service is going to be 11 o'clock Saturday at First Pres, and there'll be a light lunch to follow. So if you've got the opportunity to go and celebrate his life, then that's a good opportunity. Other announcements that we've missed. A lot of events going on, a lot of summertime things, a lot of vacations happening, a lot of things behind the scenes that go on. Make sure you thank your local leaders, your city officials, especially rescue officials, first responders. Just summertime kind of brings a lot of that activity about. So just keep all of them in your thoughts and prayers as well. Adam, did you want to say anything about the sneaker ball tomorrow? I couldn't have said it better myself.
Basically, all you have to do is go in dress formal. It's almost like a prom. My wife's sister's a Hope Deal. She's a fundraiser for the transitional house to raise money. Kind of like dress semi-formal, but you have to wear sneakers. That's a whole big thing. I mean, it'll be at the Fitch house. There'll be food and door prizes and everything like that. It'll be a good time.
If you can out-sneaker Matt Ridge, then you got it going on.
And we got sneakers to raffle off too.
Hear that, Matt?
I've heard you.
All right. All right. Anything else? All right. Split the pot. By the way, while Jen's coming up, cards are laid out. Queen Heart's still in there. Cart buckets. It's birthday day, so cart buckets are out for birthday day. So they're making their once a month appearance for birthdays. All right, Jen.
All right, so today we collected $88. Nice, and our total is $15.61. So whoever wins today, it's $7.80 and 50 cents. So did you?
I did not play.
So would you like to draw today?
I love to draw.
Look, you
I really don't have a single.
You're outgoing.
All right. Oh, these are easy to read. 654-342.
Candace? She only bought one ticket too. She said it only takes one.
That's right. It does in fact only take one.
Oh, rip that back away.
Just one of the blue cards. Just one of the blue cards. Stan. Stan, it's good to see you. Glad to have you here. Good to see you. Stan's gonna do our. It's just June birthdays, right? Today? Okay.
How many of you know David Ruffin? Know who David Ruffin was? Lead singer for Temptations. He sang "I Wish It Would Rain." And the theme song for us today is "Hot as It Is." How many of you have ever been around a coincidence? How many of you have ever had your life affected by a coincidence? Not much coincidental stuff going on here. What the heck is a coincidence? Well, the working definition of a coincidence is a surprising occurrence of events perceived as meaningfully related with no apparent causal connection. For example, in either 2000 or 2001, our family was in San Francisco, and we walked into a Banana Republic store and ran into Chrissy Hedgepeth. Now, ran into is a southern term. It doesn't mean like a car accident, but ran into her. And that was a total surprise. That was a coincidence. And then a couple years later, our son Brian was in Rome, and he went down to the Trevi Fountain, throw a few coins in, and watch the water spout.
He ran into Bess Sterry, Poland Sterry's daughter, who is from Thomasville. That was a coincidence. That was crazy. History is full of crazy coincidences. For example, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson had some kind of like a cosmic relationship, it seems like. After striking up a friendship at the Congressional Continental Congress in 1775, they ended up getting together to draft the Declaration of Independence. They independently served in Europe as American diplomats. Jefferson was in France and Adams was in England. Before they got into some partisan squabbles, when they got into politics, they broke up for a while, but they reunited their correspondence in the later years. And it's interesting, they got to become best of friends. And on the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, on July 4th of 1826, both were on their deathbeds. And that day, as he lay dying, reportedly, Adams delivered his final words in his life. He said, "Thomas Jefferson survives," not realizing that his old friend had passed away in Charlottesville, Monticello, just a couple hours before that. And then you have old Wilbur McLean. You know Wilbur McLean? He was a Northern Virginia plantation owner. He was happy to turn his property over to the Confederate Army to fight the first battle of Bull Run, which Southerners called First Manassas, July of 1861. And then he got sort of tired of that, though, because it came back in August of 1862 and fought the second battle of Bull Run all over his property. So he decided, I'm going to get out of this area right here. So he moved south a little ways and settled in the isolated village of Appomattox Courthouse. Only to find out that he didn't move quite far enough because Robert E. Lee sequestered his house to be used to surrender to Ulysses S. Grant in April of 1865. And then you got the Jim twins, Jim Springer and Jim Lewis. They were identical twins who were separated as infants through adoption, and yet they went on to live their separate lives, but in similar ways. When they got reunited at age 39, they discovered that each one of them had a brother named Larry. Each one of them had a pet dog named Toy. Both of them went into law enforcement. They named their firstborn son James Allen, and even if you chalk some of that up to genetics, it doesn't quite explain how each of the twins somehow married a woman named Linda before following that up with a second wife named Betty, and both of them settled in the same vacation spot at a small beach in St. Petersburg, Florida, more than 1,000 miles away from when they were reared in Ohio. Now, I say all that to lead up to what we're really here for, which is the fact that we got today a bunch of June-born Rotarians, and get this, every one of these fine people were born in the month of June, every single one. Tony Mazzini was born June 14th. Nancy Woods, with the gracious help of Nancy Woods, was born on the 15th. Tony Hyde, with his beautiful voice there, was on the 17th. Philip Young came into the world on June 19th, and Rick Phillips, Rick, if you're listening, we're thinking about you, came along on the 20th. Now this is where it gets here. Every one of those people right there celebrates their birthday in June. Of all the months that are available to them, blow out candles, read cards, eat cake and ice cream, get presents and all that stuff, every one of them has chosen June to celebrate their birthday in. Is that a coincidence or what? I don't understand why or how it could happen, but I guess we ought to play along with it and sing happy birthday as a coincidental wish to them. If you'll stand, we'll sing to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Rotarians. Happy birthday to you.
If you're newer to the club, it's actually a tradition that you don't show up on your birthday month when we did the birthdays for your month. So, Tony, next year you can skip out. No, that is not a tradition, actually. By the way, but Jason may start it. You never know. All right, Kim, you have the program.
Yes, I
so
do.
I'm actually going to call Kim up to present today's program.
Not to fuss about anything.
That's right. Not to fuss about anything. Make my job easier.
Okay. I'm always looking for programs, and I was thrilled when I got an email from Tim Bruce about I'd be interested in doing a program. The heavens opened. But anyway, and then I got into more and more what he was going to talk about, and comes to find out it's about someone that lives in our community that's 103 years old, a World War II veteran. Then I thought, if anybody knows me, they know I love police and veterans and firefighters. So I was very thrilled that he was able to come today and to give you, and he's written another book, a novel, and then you wrote about Mr. Austin. But Jim is retired from the United States Army, and he taught at DDCC, got that right? And he lives in Thomasville with his wife, 2 sons and their wives, and he has 4 grandchildren. So he's got a lot more to say than I do. So Jim, I appreciate you being here today.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. First of all, I need to apologize if you see me pull out this paper towel and wipe my eyes. I've got allergies that I can't seem to get rid of, watery eyes, so I apologize for that. I've been a resident of Davidson County practically my whole life, and been living here in Thomasville just about all that time. And so I know a lot of people here, quite a few of you. Kim mentioned writing a novel. I did write a novel back in 2021. I found that very satisfying to be creative once I retired from Davidson Community College. But when I had the opportunity to do something else, to try to keep my mind sharp, I met a man at Piedmont Crossing that satisfied my need to write something else. And that was Austin Conway. Some of you may know him, probably do, at least know his daughter and both seen his one of his grandsons, his younger grandson. So I wrote this biography of Austin. He's 103 years old. He lives at Piedmont Crossing. I visited him yesterday, and he had some health problems, and he's currently in rehab. But as always, his spirits just sky high. He's always very positive about things, and so I told him that today I was going to talk about him, and he was very thrilled. He has a phenomenal memory. It amazed me the first time that I met him. My wife and I went to Piedmont Crossing to eat lunch with some friends of ours who lived there. And this man approached my table and just started talking spontaneously about different things. And me being a retired Army, when he started talking about World War II, that piqued my interest. And the fact that he seemed to remember things apparently so accurately was an even greater impetus for me to think about the possibility of writing a biography of him. I had read the books from a book called The Greatest Generation, and I found those very enlightening. So Austin and I struck up a conversation. Austin Conley, 103 years old, has a mind I really think sharper than mine. I've been proving that several times during our interviews. But we became friends, and it took me about approximately 9 months to write the biography. Kind of hard to see it from the distance there, but that's the book. It's a hardcover and also it's a paperback. And we had 2 book signings, one in his church, Grace Lutheran Church, and the church was filled, and there was a long line waiting for Austin to sign a book that they bought about his life. Then we had another book signing at Piedmont Crossing. In the room they normally use for big events, the room was packed. There were people standing to the back of the wall. There were people outside in the hallway. It was just amazing. And again, Austin was there signing all these books. And then I would sign a few, requested that everybody would wait Austin to sign the book. And he's just a phenomenal man. I have a speech that I wrote, but I'm not very good at following the speeches. I just kind of glance at them. But I have to say that Austin is one of the brightest, most down-to-earth people that I've ever met. And his empathy for others is just amazing. And the things that he went through in World War II are almost unbelievable when you think about it. He was started to be an infantryman, and he got on the rifle range, and he couldn't hold a rifle correctly because when he was 8 years old, he fell in his yard at his home and broke his arm. And he can't turn his arm this way. He can turn it that way, but it won't go this way. So he couldn't hold the rifle correctly. So they decided to make him a medic. And initially I thought, well, a medic, that can't be as exciting to write about as an infantryman or a guy that got a tank or whatever. But it turns out that it's more exciting because he saw so much. He spent 17 months in the European theater, and he was the primary driver for the doctor for the 102nd Infantry Division. And his unit, the lower subordinate unit, was the 381st Field Artillery. And so they were part of the 102nd. So he drove for the doctor for that unit. And he did a lot of medical type things during the war, but he also helped a lot of civilians too. I was surprised that all the stories he told about he and the doctor helping civilian populations, the Dutch and of course the Germans. He spent his time in, he landed in France, and they went through there fairly quickly, and spent his time in Holland and in Germany. Once the war was over, he stayed there, remained there for, I think it was almost a year, and as an occupying force, and that's when he really helped a lot of the civilians as well as his own soldiers. Austin, he was the Grand Marshal of our Memorial Day Parade here in 2022. I think that's a very good thing for our city, and he was proud to to be the Grand Marshal for that. As part of writing this book, I placed Austin on 2 government websites for military personnel. One is the Registry of the American Soldier, which anyone can go to and read about various soldiers that have served in our military. And then I also placed him on the World War II Memorial Registry, which those individuals who fought in World War II. And he was very excited to see that he had been placed on that. And that's in the book, how to get to those sites, and I copied what's on those sites in the book for Austin. Austin has a card in his wallet, which he carries to this day, that he received in 1946 when he was discharged from the Army. And he still carries that card. Austin has a great sense of humor. If you know him or in his family, they could probably tell you he has a wonderful sense of humor. When I go to visit him for lunch at Piedmont Crossing, he's always a highlight of the lunch, and he has a lot of girlfriends there in the luncheon, and they all come up to him and hug him, and he just relishes that. He really enjoys it greatly. In becoming good friends with Austin, we decided that we would exchange Christmas gifts. So I bought Austin a BB gun. Well, he bought me a t-shirt with a target on the back. And at one time, I was sitting in his room and I was interviewing him, and he kind of stopped talking and he looked at me and he said, "Jim, you have a face of a saint Bernard." He did have a lot. He had a lot to say about making people laugh. One time I called Austin and I said, "Austin, I'd like to come see you today." And he said, "Sure, come on over, nobody will be here." So I went over and sure enough, nobody was there, not even Austin. And then we had a friend that was going to get married, and a mutual friend, and he asked me to be a groomsman, and he asked Austin to be the best man. So the bride and groom were standing there facing each other. The bride was beautiful in her dress, and they were saying their vows. And Austin leaned over to me and he said, "Jim, if I'm the best man, why is she marrying him?" That's just, and I can tell more of those stories about Austin and his ability to make people laugh. It's just amazing. As I mentioned earlier, it took about 9 months to write the book. That's kind of the standard 6 to 9 months for a person that's not a celebrity, if you will. There's a lot to writing about, both from the person being written about. Obviously, they have to tell all the stories. Plus the biography of the person writing the book. There's a lot you have to go through to transcribe it. What I did was I had a little recorder and I just let him talk. And then I would ask questions, he would talk some more. And he seemed to never get tired at 102 when I was first started. And I would take the recording home and type them into the computer and then rearrange them in various sections, chapters. But he was always willing to answer any question that I had. And many times it was it was very heart-wrenching because he would tell stories, and then near the end of the story, after 80 years of remembering those events, he would pause. And you could see I could see the anguish on his face when he told those stories. And I was just so glad that he let me write the book about him. He told of when they first arrived in France, and they were just setting up the artillery pieces, and a young lieutenant and his driver came up in a Jeep, and they had a landmine strapped to the top of the Jeep. Why, I don't know. Neither does Austin, but they did. I guess it was probably one they were going to place somewhere, but it was strapped to the hood of the Jeep, and they drove across the railroad tracks, and the vibration caused the mine to explode, and of course killed the driver and the lieutenant and 4 artillerymen who were setting up artillery pieces, and Austin was near that. That's one of those times when he stopped and paused. Another more heart-wrenching time, I should say, was when the U.S. forces, the Allied forces, were getting closer and closer to Berlin, and the Germans were trying to move or kill any prisoners of war that they had remaining. Austin and his unit came upon a massacre. They came there 2 days after it happened. And what had happened was, not to be too gruesome here at our event, but this is history. The Germans had hurried more than 1,000 men and prisoners of war into a barn, put straw on the floor, poured gasoline on the floor, set the barn ablaze. And so here Austin coming 2 days later, and he says to me that he and the doctor sat on the hill next to where the barn was and watched the bodies still smoldering. And that's when he paused for a long time. And he said, you know, Jim, I think about these things about every day. Sometimes in the afternoon when I lay down, and sometimes at night when I try to go to sleep. It's just those types of stories should not be forgotten. And his family now have a book that they can look back on for generations and see what he did, what he contributed to our country. He was also a milkman here in this area for 35 years. Once he left the Army, once he came home, then he got married, I think 3 or 4 months after he got back. And he had started dating his future wife right before he left for Europe. And then when he got back, they got married, of course. And I said, well, Austin, what did you think when you got back to the United States on U.S. soil and you saw your wife-to-be for the first time in over 2 years? And he simply said, she looked the same. And that's all he said. Sometimes he would say a lot, and other times he would just keep it very simple. But he always had a lot to say. He talked about the German children asking American soldiers for chocolate. And to me, he repeated the phrase in German that the children used to say 80 years ago. He remembers the phrase. I know a little bit of German, and when he said that phrase, I knew he was right. And now he remembers to speak German 80 years later is just beyond belief, really. And I visited him one time in his room, and I walked in, there was a coffee table where I was sitting, and there was this big book, about twice as big as his biography, and about that thick. And I said, Austin, what's this book here? And he said, oh, that's the history of my unit in World War II. And he said, there's a lot of things in there that I like to read about. And this is after he told me the story of the massacre of those 1,000. There's actually 1,015 men that died in that barn. And he said, you remember the story I told you about the massacre of Camp? He said, if you turn to page 212 in the book, you can read about it. I thought, he remembers the page number in his 500-page book. And so I opened the book, and there on page 212 was the story he was talking about. So, and some of these stories that you're telling me, I would research on the internet just to verify them, and I never found any discrepancy. They always were as he told. It'd been my privilege to, I really feel blessed to have been able to write this biography of him. It was a lot of work, it was a lot of late nights, arranging pictures and documents from his military and experience and many other things that I put in here, but it's all been well worth it. And I think that, many of us, most of us, would like to know more about our ancestors. I know I would. I wish I knew more about my paternal grandfather, for example. I knew very little about him. But those stories that our ancestors have, they can be preserved. I went to the Thomasville Library when I first started this, and I went to the biography section, and I saw all these biographies of all these famous people, and I didn't see one that wasn't what I consider a famous person. And I thought, well, what about the average person? There are people that we don't know about their grandfather, their great-grandmother. And so I think that is an important part of family life. I know Austin's children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, they've expressed to me how much they appreciate that this book is available for them to have for the future. I think about the people that are diagnosed with Alzheimer's and other types of dementia. How it must feel when you know that you're going to most likely lose a lot of your memories, if not all of your memories. And that must be devastating to realize that when you're at that stage, if you, not everyone is at that stage, but in those diseases, but if you are, that must be very hard to take. I read about a number of people who have decided to have a biography written about them while they have all their memories. And then, once those memories leave their mind, they can go back and read their own biography and relive their experiences again. They have lost those experiences. They're written down rather than in their mind. So I think that's one thing that helps a lot of people. There's one quote that I had that I wanted to read to you. Let's see if I can find it here. From actually two. Eleanor Roosevelt wrote an autobiography, and she prefaced that by saying, and I quote, "There is nothing particularly interesting about one's life story unless people can say, as they read it, this is like something I have been through. Perhaps, after all, there is a way to work this out." So you can get some help by reading other people's lives. And there's a quote that I like to use from one of the episodes of the NCIS TV series. That quote is, "We all die twice. Once when our bodies give out, and then again when our stories stop being told." And I think for Austin and for his family, those stories will probably never stop being told, or at least for a long time, not being told. So we did do an interview toward the end of the process where I recorded Austin being interviewed by his grandson, Bosink. And it's an hour and 10 minutes long. Austin just kept talking as usual. He has a lot of strength in his 103-year-old mind. And that interview is available on YouTube if any of you would like to look at it, part of it or all of it, whatever. But it shows you can see how bright Austin still is and how he has empathy for others. Just go to YouTube and type in Austin Conlon Bosink, and it'll come up and you can take a look at it. Do I have time to read a few excerpts of the book, or are you out of time?
It's 105.
What?
It's 105.
Okay, time.
Yeah, sorry.
That's fine. Is it-
Where can you buy the book? Where can you get the book? Where can you buy the book? And
Okay.
Things that we can go.
It's on, the book is available on lulu.com, LULU.com. I did not use Amazon. I have for the novel used Amazon, but Lulu is a North Carolina-based company in Durham. They're a big company. They have over 4 million authors. So, and we've printed probably 300 books now. Of Austin's book that they have, his family has sold. I didn't sell them, they sold them at the book signing. But all you gotta do is go to lulu.com and type in the name of the book, which is A Century of Yesterdays. And it's $30 for a hardback, and it's $20 for a paperback. So that's how you can get one. I've got a few copies if you want one today, but most of ours have been sold through at the book signings. So, and then I've had probably so people who have ordered them through Lulu already. So appreciate the time. I'm sorry that I went over time. Did anybody have any questions? Thank you very much.
It's always so good, and especially in a city with such rich history, you always need that it's documented and ways to remember things. So,
If you'll stand and join me before we test. If you're traveling for the holidays, be safe. Those that were mentioned, keep them in your thoughts and prayers as we go about, especially our Rotarians and families and friends. But we will look forward to seeing everybody in a few weeks. And until then, we're going to come across a lot of people. We're going to come across people that have different ideals, different backgrounds. And we may get into arguments with them. We may not like the way that we treat them. And we just need to be cognizant of that. And so in all those interactions, let's ask ourselves these things. First, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships?